And we don't want him to get scurvy, so we'll give him some lemon.
Yeah, and we're gonna move forward with or without you, Bono.
Yes. Yes. Especially when we hit the streets have no name.
And you know what? And when you're running down the streets with that have no name, you're still trying to find what you're looking for.
Yes, until you finally get to the Joshua tree.
And then you'll finally say, I'm the one.
Yeah. And then at that point, you just go, Oktung, baby.
Well, I mean, we're recording, right?
Oh, we are.
Okay. Listen, you wanted a cold intro? There you go. With that said, everybody, welcome to episode 320 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Welcome back.
like I'm on top of the episode count.
I think it's the studio.
You think it's a studio?
I think it's the studio. I think that the lights, they help clear your brain.
I mean, our listeners know I'll be like, yeah, welcome to episode like 165 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Like we just did episode 300, sir. You're going to have to catch up.
No, you know, the thing about me is that I'm usually not off by like a number or two.
No.
I'm off by like 150 episodes.
Yeah, by like a centennial. Yeah.
Ahorita be like, welcome to episode 73 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
The only podcast to regress.
We're going back in time.
Yes. That's all we can do.
Oh, shit. I think in episode 73, it was like pre-pandemic.
Actually, yeah. Coño, you're right.
Remember that?
I don't remember the pre-times.
You don't remember the pre-times?
before times.
So,
the before times.
Anyway, well, to our listeners who are watching us,
Yes.
who are looking, listen, laugh, learn, and look, well, thank you for coming back for another episode of video.
And I got to say, the love has been great.
Yes.
Just want to start off the bat with something positive, right? Like,
yes.
Y'all have been fantastic. The comments, the compliments, the congratulations, everything we've gotten from so many people, from Pero Primos, from past guests, from everybody. It's overwhelming in a good way.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was, obviously we knew we were going to embark on something special, and something new, but you and I always have this problem, right? Where we're like, we know it's going to be cool, but then we don't really stop and think about how it will resonate. Like the fact that people are actually listening and watching us.
It could be a disaster.
Right. No, but it's not even that.
Much like our 21st episode.
Like, that would have been great as a video.
So, I mean, yeah, it would have. So let's take a little, since we're going back in time
down memory lane,
to our new listeners and viewers and Junior, our producer. Let's give it up to Junior again.
Yeah.
Our producer today.
For making us sound and look so great last week and this week as well.
When we started Pero Let Me Tell You, we were like, well, maybe we'll get to 10 episodes. So when we got to 21 episodes, we were like, we need to celebrate. Right. So
and we did.
So we, 21, Pero Let Me Tell You became legal. And we thought, it would be a great idea to drink while we record Pero Let Me Tell You. And we both had, we had two bottles of Havana Club rum.
Havana Club later.
Yeah. The Bacardi one, not the communist one.
Yes, exactly.
We had two bottles and we got drunk off our asses on our 21st episode. It was, I mean, that episode went off the rails. So if you want to laugh and be scared, not listen, laugh and learn. It's like laugh and be scared. Go back to our 21st episode. It's
Halloween. They might enjoy
299 episodes ago.
Yeah, they might enjoy the fear. It's Halloween.
The fear. Yeah. So, oye, we got to start off this week's episode with a bit of a somber note.
I know that's why I wanted to start with like the congratulations part. Because I figured we were going to go
this is going to take a turn quickly. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of in breaking news. Liam Payne from One Direction passed away and in just terrible circumstances.
31 years old.
31 years old. He has a 6-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I mean, as the day we're recording this on Fake Friday, they haven't given a cause insofar that we know he fell off a balcony.
Right, but they don't know like what happened.
What happened.
Yeah.
Now there's some reports that the police was called prior to that there had been some altercation or something going on with somebody that fit his description. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not. I don't want to,
Right, yeah. We just don't know.
False rumor. Right. But just terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
It's those things that put into perspective. Again, I know it's like we're going to sound a little maudlin and sad right now, but it's like, shit, 31.
Yeah.
Like that's,
it's
young.
It's
like
31.
think about us at 31.
It's 31. I mean, that's why a lot of times when celebrities pass away, you know, there's a slew of reasons why when celebrities pass away, it's such a big deal for the public because in addition to like the circumstances, you know, especially singers, they represent, if you're a fan of theirs, their music represents a stage in your life, or it's something that has some type of meaning to you. One Direction, and specifically, I could see how there was millions of fans of, you know, girls especially that loved One Direction and their music meant something to them at a, you know, when they were teenagers, adolescents, you know. So, I mean, that happens when any musician dies, especially because you become sort of, their music means something to you.
Well, think about how intimate that experience is, right? I mean, just us, like you listen, it's in your ears.
Yeah.
It's very just you and the music, right?
Yeah. And, but I think, you know, what always sort of captures the public's sort of interest is that we see celebrities sort of, we know they're not immortal, but we see them as a status symbol. You know, we see people that have fame, fortune, a lot of times power.
What could hurt them?
And, you know, what's going on in their life. And I know that him in particular, he had been very open about his mental health struggles. I saw a couple of months ago. Yeah, I had a couple of months ago, I saw, I think I may have mentioned it to you, a video podcast, actually, a Diary of a CEO, which I really like that podcast. And he was on it and he was talking about his mental health struggles. And I got the sense at that time, and I think I saw the episode a couple of months ago, but I think it was from like a year ago. I got the sense at that time that, you know, I could be wrong. It was just the impression I got from watching that interview that whatever he was going through, he was still sort of going through it.
Yeah, it hadn't gone away.
That's the impression that I got. Because a lot of times you hear people that have gone through stuff and they are very clear that they're on the other side of it, which, you know, even that, sometimes you don't
you
know.
can backslide, yeah.
Right. But I did get that impression from him. I'm like, he's still, the guy's still going through some shit. But, I mean, we don't know what happened, but just really, really sad. And, you know, may he rest in peace, you know, it's just awful news.
I will say, in a weird turn of events, we were literally just talking about One Direction on Saturday.
I was, and I actually was talking to you about him.
Yeah, we were.
I was talking to you about him
and all their solo careers and everything.
I was saying that he was the one that his solo career, and I saw an interview of him talking about that. He sort of struggled a bit to find his musical direction, whereas the other one sort of did. But again, you know, you don't know what demons were in that closet and what was going on and all that. Oh yeah, speaking of demons and closets,
wow,
have you seen,
where the hell is this going?
Doesn't everybody talk about demons and closets?
I mean, clearly.
Have you seen that movie? I haven't seen it, but maybe you have. The Demi Moore movie, The Substance.
No, I'm dying to see it.
Okay, that movie, I feel it's been out for like a month or so. It's getting like
very good reviews.
No, but it's like snowballing. Like I see more and more and more of it.
It's become in the zeitgeist.
Which good for her.
Listen,
I mean, good for Demi Moore.
Bring it.
But I mean, I've heard a lot of good stuff about it.
I've heard a lot of good stuff about it. I will say, I definitely want to see it. It's one of those movies that, again, now, I want to go see that movie, and by the time you get around to it, the movie's already like on Netflix.
Right. But it's on Netflix.
It's right. So you just watch it at home. But those certain movies I want to go see like in the theater, right? I want to have that like communal theater going experience. I will say, based on what I've heard though, I don't think you should watch it.
No. That's why I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I don't do gory people.
No,
I don't.
At all. He doesn't do anything that has like squelching sounds.
No, I don't do gory.
And gory.
I mean, I mucho. There's too many problems in the world. I just... What's the goriest? Well, one of my favorite movies of all time, probably my second favorite movie of all time, is The Shining.
But that's not gory.
Right. It's more of a suspense.
Right.
It's psychological.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't do gory.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the other hand, last weekend I was trying to convince Jose to go see Terrifier 3 at the Night Owl Drive-In.
What is Terrifier 3?
Oh, you don't know about any of the Terrifier movies?
Is this like Faces of Death or some shit like that?
No. So Terrifier they're on the third one now.
This sounds like a metal band.
It might be at this point. So it's the villain is Art the Clown, You probably have seen him. He's a clown. Is dressed in just like black and white. And he doesn't speak. And so in the first one, basically in every one, he just keeps topping himself with the kills. So like in the first one, there was a scene where like a naked woman was literally like chained, right? And he just grabbed a chainsaw and he just like, from taint to head. Just went all up.
You really had to use that word, didn't you?
Yep, because that's what it was.
I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that shit.
And then the second one, he comes back, and then now there's this like weird clown girl, but we don't know if only he sees her. And then now in the other one, the third one is
seriously, what satisfaction does that give you?
I don't know what it is.
Is it like the ridiculousness of it?
For me, it's the ridiculousness of it. I mean, number one, I love bad movies, generally speaking. So there's a ridiculousness of it. But I do think that there's something specific to, especially in this case, because as gruesome and gory as it is, it is over the top, right? So whereas, for instance, I won't watch Hostel because Hostel is grounded in reality. So Hostel is grounded in the reality of somebody goes to this place to get kidnapped and all this. Yeah. Whereas the thought of like this psychotic clown is just so, it's so exaggerated, right?
Right.
And he literally has like a little bag that he pulls all of his things out of. So it's
that
comical almost.
I saw the first Hostel, and I have to tell you, again, gory, but I did sit through it. That movie was awesome because I didn't see that. I mean, nobody saw that twist coming.
Right.
But I mean, you know what? That now that you're saying that I said nobody saw that twist coming, I wonder, and I've thought about this before, in this day and age of social media, if M. Night Shyamalan movies can exist.
So they do. He's still making movies.
Right. But like Sixth Sense type thing.
It would exist. The problem is that there's some asshole online who would just be like, hey, you know what the twist is? Like 10 minutes after.
Right. That's why I say that.
Yeah.
Because his movies, his first slew of movies, I thought were fantastic. Yeah. And I wonder if that would happen now because nothing is suspenseful anymore. Nothing is.
I mean, everybody just ruins everything for everybody.
Right. And that is sort of the whole point of his movie.
Is the pull the rung up from under.
And I've said this before. I've even said it on the show, and I will say it again. I know it's been 20-some years since that movie came out. I don't
no
care.
No spoilers.
I don't care who says that they knew.
They didn't know. They didn't know.
They knew the twist in that movie. There is no way that you knew.
The only twist they would have known in that movie is if there was a Tropicana twist in that movie. Okay.
There is no way that you knew. But you see all these people. I remember when, that movie wasn't that old. All these people would be like, yeah, I knew in the, ¿cómo se llama? In the Sixth Sense, I knew that he was dead. I knew it. It's like, no, you didn't, bro. You didn't know.
Shut up.
Don't be that guy.
Also, I know you. You're not that smart.
It's not even about being smart or not. It's like you didn't know. There's no way you would watch that movie. Perfectly. Now, once you know, you go back and you're like,
Right.
That's like, I thought one of his best movies was The Village.
Oh,
I didn't see that coming.
I did not care for that movie.
No.
Mm-hmm. La pobre mujer está ciega, the whole thing, and then she eventually just walks out into Central Park.
Well, that was the point of it.
I know, but can you imagine? Like the people are like, she's dressed like an Amish woman, and all of a sudden she's talking about.
I mean, if you see an Amish woman walking down New York City, are you really going to be that surprised?
You know, she's just from Brooklyn. Yeah.
Is that what we're saying?
It's a hipster. She probably just brought some kombucha.
Yeah. So, okay, something I wanted to talk about today.
Right.
It's not topical, but it's. I saw something on TV about it. And what happened was I was watching something on YouTube because
you are big on YouTube.
I do watch YouTube is actually what I watch the most because you find your interests and there you go. I was watching something. I loved Wired.
Yes,
they have a channel that is called Blank Tech. Like, actually, I showed it to you the other day. Like fish tech. Astronomy tech, where you have somebody, Titanic tech, where you have somebody who's an expert in a certain topic talk about something. And the other day they had somebody talking about etiquette. So I have a question. For you,
right.
for Junior, for our viewers and listeners. When you go on an airplane, do you recline or do you not recline?
Okay, we've had this conversation before.
We have.
You and I. I will say this. Now it doesn't matter because to recline is like, look, I just reclined. Did you see it? Because that's
I'm
that's
so
that's the
reclined.
difference, right? Like I've been more reclined, taking a shower. I will say if it's a longer flight, I will.
Okay.
I will, just because, especially if it's a longer flight, it's overnight. I always fall asleep on planes. So at this point, it's like, you know what? I'll just recline. But sometimes I don't, and the reason being that because I tend to get the window seat, I kind of do the little to the side on the window. So I feel like
window.
right, the window. So I don't feel like I need to recline so much because I'm already like.
You do window?
I love window.
I do aisle. I can't. I need to spread out.
No, pero en the aisle todo mundo te está dando.
Yeah, but I'm spread out. I could do this.
I know. Are you handing things to other people?
Yeah,
on
no,
the flight?
I can stretch.
Like,
Listen, my problem.
Are you a flight attendant?
When people are like in an airplane, they're like, "Oh, more room for your legs." No. I don't care about the room for my legs. I'm like width.
Yeah,
I need width.
Well, but that's why I do the
I have
window.
broad shoulders. I need width.
That's why I do the window because I can always adjust myself. So I'm not in the way, and I can still have my own personal space.
It's funny how that works. Well, that didn't answer my question. So
I did
to
answer your
recline
question.
or not recline?
I did answer your question. It depends on the length of the flight.
Junior, to recline or not recline?
Never.
You never recline?
90-degree angle always.
That's my boy right
God.
there. I don't recline.
He's so equilateral.
I don't recline. I think.
Idle seat too.
Yep. See? Yep. Junior are going to be like, him and I are going to be like best friends.
You know what, Junior? You're going to just guest host when I'm not available.
Okay.
Yeah, listen.
I don't recline. I like the aisle. The only time I will recline is if, for example, behind me there is a child.
Okay.
I will nod at the parents and be like, "Can I?"
Because they don't need the space.
Right. They don't need the space. Then I will recline a little bit. I know you can. I know this is a very controversial topic, people. I know that you can recline. It is in your rights as a passenger to recline. I think it is rude to recline, especially all the way back, because space is already
At a premium.
It's compact. People barely fit in their seats. It's already uncomfortable. Right. And for you to recline all the way back, I see, boom, it's like, I think that's rude. And I think that is, you're not being courteous. And
what did the ethics tech say?
The ethics person said that, yes, technically you could recline, but it would be rude to recline all the way and that you should ask for permission. That's what ethically.
Ask for permission.
Like give a nod. Give a nod. Give a nod. I don't. And I'm very, very conscious about it. Like now when I went to Italy a couple of months ago, I did not recline. Those were long flights.
You didn't recline?
I do not recline. I think it's rude.
You were on that plane for like 12 hours.
And the people in all the flights I had, it was always a guy behind me just as big as I was. I know. I'm not going to recline. And then especially when it's time to eat, you pretty much have to eat like this.
Bueno, eso sí.
And I think it's rude. I know it's a very controversial subject and people feel very opinionated.
We are not afraid to tackle controversy.
We are not afraid
to
tackle controversial subjects. And I know people are very polarized on it, and I get it, but I don't think it's courteous. And I'm always thinking about the courtesy of the person behind me, and I don't recline, because when the person in front of me reclines all the way, I want to wish them all the ill and pain in the world.
I just wish them diarrhea. That's a nice coverall.
No, and the worst is like the moment you reach cruising altitude, the person that is like goes from 0 to 100 in like half a second. They just press the button and boom. And before you know it, it's like, dude, do you want to come and sit in my lap? Like.
Yeah, you should start tipping them. They're already giving you a fucking lap dance. Yeah.
So don't recline, people.
All right, don't recline. All right, but okay. So I want to bring something up because you mentioned food, and this week was your birthday.
It was,
and I don't think I have to tell you what all of our Pero Primos want to hear.
I know a lot of Pero Primos asked. So to fill in a few people
for the new followers
haven't followed us since my birthday last year. It sort of became a running gag on Pero. Let me tell you, my life became a running gag. Is that my parents would always get me the wrong birthday cake, and it's sort of like there were some people who started reaching out to us that sort of had conspiracy theories on why my parents were doing this. But they would always get me the wrong birthday cake. And when I mean wrong, I mean like I wanted, like, for example, one year, it was 2 years ago, I wanted a Mandalorian cake from Publix. I literally went to Publix.com. I took a picture of the cake, the order SKU number, and I sent it to my dad's WhatsApp. I told him, quarter sheet, half chocolate, half vanilla, buttercream. Show them the picture. Like I told my dad, when you get to the bakery, don't talk. Just show them the phone. Right. And somehow they gave me a vanilla round cake with balloons, right? And then there was the famous year that my mom for my birthday, and I always want the same thing. I want a half vanilla, half chocolate, buttercream cake from Publix. It can't be easier than that. I don't even care what the decoration is, right? One year, my mom got me corn muffins. Then the biggest mystery of this, and we posted it a couple of years ago on our Instagram. One year, my mom, for my birthday, we don't know how she did this, got me a Christmas wreath for my cake. And it was,
for the record, your birthday's when?
In October.
And Christmas is in when?
December.
Got it.
So I don't know how she got me a Christmas wreath, but she did. So they always got me the wrong cake. Unfortunately, last year, they got me the right cake. And this year, they got me the right cake again. I'm like, damn it. They got me the cake that I asked. And I'm like, damn it. I kind of wanted you...
Like, how are you going to mess this one up?
So you know what? Next
year,
I'm just going to give them a more complicated order.
Ooh, you're going to set them up.
I'm going to set them up next year.
You're going to set them up. Look at you creating content.
I want to be like, okay, half red velvet, half like marble.
Ooh, I want a marble cake now. Can we? I want a marble cake. Like a nice little end-to-mince marble cake.
So I hate to disappoint our listeners because a few of you reached out to me or to us regarding the cake situation. They got me the right cake this year. I was like,
it was good.
When I saw the cake, I was like, oh. So now I'm disappointed either way, right?
I know. I think, were you even more disappointed once you cut into it and it was correct on the inside too?
Yeah. So, but anyway, thank you everybody who reached out to me. A lot of Pero Primos and listeners reached out to us, to our page and wished me a happy birthday. Thank you so much. It feels great to be 29.
Yeah, well, and it does. I mean, that's not how old you are, but it feels great to be 29.
Yeah, it does.
It feels great. Yeah, you know, anecdotally speaking.
Would you go back to your 20s?
No, I don't think I would. I would go back to my 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely go back to my 30s. I think because by the 30s, you know, the career was established. I was making decent money. You know, it was a little more established.
I'd go back to like 17 and just rewrite everything. You know when people tell you, oh no, I wouldn't go back because, you know, going back and changing things made me who I am today. Okay, that's great. It made me who I am today too. Yeah, no, there's a lot of shit that I will go back and change.
But see, I don't know. Because I
not have student loans.
I don't know. Well, okay, there's that. That alone. Buying real estate before you know what's coming.
Yeah. Well,
okay, so we're also obviously we're talking about going back and having the knowledge we have now. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I would just listen to my inner voice more than I did.
Hey, but then you wouldn't have good stories.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have student loans.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So listen to the student loan inner voice, but the other ones ignore.
Don't sign on the dotted line, no matter what the loan department tells you.
They're liars.
Access Group is not your friend.
Those are the demons in the closet.
What, Access Group student loans?
Yes.
I feel everybody had Access Group or Fannie Mae student loans.
Fannie Mae, I had Fannie Mae.
Yeah. Oh, let's move away from student loans. Me está dando, you know.
Así de. The reflux. El reflujo de los student loans.
Como tomarte un batido de vinagre.
That sounds like a short story.
What?
El reflujo de los student loans.
That would be a great short film done by ¿cómo se llama? The Spanish director Pedro
Almodóvar.
Yeah.
Yes. El reflujo de los préstamos estudiantes.
Okay. Actually, you know what? Hold on.
Are we going down a Pedro Almodóvar?
I actually wanted to ask you guys this. Okay. You, Junior, our listeners, our viewers. Okay. How do you say in Spanish?
Oh, God.
How do you say avocado in Spanish?
Aguacate.
Junior. It's not aguacate.
What the hell is it?
It's called palta.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. I don't know what kind of closet demons you were talking to, but
Palta.
according to who?
It's the correct name of an avocado in Spanish is palta.
I'm not going to accept
You
that
know what that
until La
is?
Academia Real de
Actually,
España.
do you know what that is? That is like the perfect setup for like any Latin person. You ask them, "Oh, how do you say avocado in Spanish?" And they'll be like, "Aguacate."
Yeah.
But then the American white kid who took Spanish classes in high school and in college, they'll be like, "It's called palta." And we'll all look at him like, "Really?
You're going to correct me?
Like you're gonna correct me?" And he actually would be correct. It's palta.
Okay, what prompted you to find this?
Just things.
No, like who said, like,
Things.
were you talking to white people?
No.
About was this about the areca plant? What is it? The
No, La Malanga.
La Malanga plant?
We've had like 5 episodes on this.
Yeah.
In Spanish, everybody... What?
There's more than one way to say it.
Because it is called a palta in Argentina, Chile, Peru, Uruguay, but
Mm-hmm.
Central America, Caribbean Spanish-speaking countries, and Spain, it is known by the Mexican Spanish name.
Aguacate.
Thank you, Junior, with your dulcet tones.
Okay, but have you ever heard palta before?
No.
Right, but there's certain things that even if you don't use them in your language, you would have heard before.
Here's what I'm going to say to this. I spent 4 years working with Argentinians, and not a damn one of them ever said,
I want palta on toast.
Not a one of them ever said, like, che, mira, traje una palta de mi patio. No, they all said traje un aguacate.
Aguacate.
Okay, so no, y'all are wrong.
Say no to palta,
Yes.
but say yes to aguacate.
Yes.
And guacamole, especially.
I know. Qué rico.
Que rico, guacamole, bien rico.
I do love
Yeah.
it. You
I'm gonna call it palta mole.
Paltamole.
Yeah, yes, exactly. That's where the guacamole comes from. Yes.
Right. But you know what, though? What happens is that a lot of times, I mean, in this particular case, it's called both things. But a lot of times, as you know, I've shared here on the show, there's many words that you use in your everyday language that are not words. Like I've said this story before. I was in shock when I found out in school that you don't say typeadora. The verb is not typeando. Yo estoy typeando, tú estás typeando, nosotros typeamos y yo typeé.
Él
Right?
typea.
Y él typea, right? And la typeadora. I remember the teacher was like, "That's not a word." I'm like, "What do you mean typeadora is not a word?" It's not. It's maquinografía. Máquina de escribir. And the verb is maquinografiar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? My life is a lie. Like, what do you mean it's not typeando? And it's like,
And then he went and consoled himself with a palta.
with a palta.
He's just like, I'm just going to sit here and eat my palta.
I'm going to eat my palta.
My palta mole.
My palta mole. Está bueno to go to like a Mexican restaurant and be like, "Hi, do you have any palta?"
If you do that in Miami, the first thing they're going to correct you for is like, una malta.
No, una palta. Rómpete una palta.
Oh, my. That's what they say in the theater.
Rómpete una
Rómpete
palta.
una palta.
So anyway, bueno, what were you going to tell me?
No, so I saw something the other day that I wanted to bring up, and I know we're going to sound like two old people right now, right?
Okay.
I know we've said it many times, so like, coño, qué caro están las cosas hoy en día, todo está caro.
Are we going to talk about inflation?
No sé dónde va a terminar las cosas. So I saw this the other day. It was a post on I never know if it's puberty or puberty.
Mm-hmm.
Puberty sounds
Puberty or puberty. I
Yeah.
actually know what you're talking about, but
puberty just sounds dirty. I don't know. I don't like it. They posted this thing that the American dream. So, retirement, car, wedding, 2 kids, 4-year college, owning a home.
it's like
having
2.5
pets.
kids, whatever that
And
means.
yeah, exactly. Who has that half child? And which half? Top, bottom, or is it split down the middle? All the way through annual vacation, and they even included the cost of a funeral. Okay, so they were taking you from beginning to end, right? Take a guess how much the American dream estimated now costs.
I don't know, $2.2 million.
Keep going.
Oh, I said that sarcastically. It's like $3.2 million?
Keep going.
$4.5 million?
$4.4 million.
Who the hell has $4.4 million?
Well, that's why it's
And
a dream.
half a kid?
And half a kid. That's why you can't afford the full kid. You gotta have half a kid. $4.4 million. Now, again, keep in mind, this is the average, right? So, for instance, owning a home alone is like $929,000.
Okay.
Pets, which I guess you can do away with having pets, but it's $36,000. Owning a new car, again, this is like over the course of a lifetime, $800,000. Retirement, $1.6 million. Wedding, $44,000.
Okay, but you're like, when you say car, that's all the cars you've had in your lifetime?
Yeah. So this is over the course of a lifetime.
$800,000? That's a lot.
Yeah, but think about it. If you start driving, let's say your first car's at 18, right? All the way through like your 70s. I mean, the average person has about what, like five? Well, I'm
a bad person to gauge that because I've been leasing cars since I've
18. Well, then how many cars have you had?
I've had like 7 cars.
Okay, so therefore, thank you for contributing to the. You're the example,
right? But I lease them. I don't.
Right, but you had to pay for them. They didn't give it to you because you have pretty eyes.
That is true.
And what's the cheapest part of this equation?
What?
Dying.
Oh yeah, it's a value.
The funeral is only $8,400.
Oh, what a value!
I know. I mean, it's probably una caja de sardina lo que te vamos a poner, pero
I mean, listen, that's something that people complain about all the time now. That that the American dream, whatever that is unapproachable or it's no longer realistically what we thought the American dream was in the hand, like reachable or attainable. And I also think that the way that people are approaching it is the reality is very different, because what happens is that, and this is a conversation that has been going on and on and on forever. Things have gone up, and and yes, there is inflation now, and things are much more expensive now, but things have been going up for decades now. In fact, I was watching something the other day that shows that the median price of homes in 1995, which is going to be 30 years next year, was double what your salary was. So the average salary in the United States was like in the high 40s, low 50s in 1995, and the average home was $121,000.
Oh wow!
So it was a little bit like 2.5 over your salary.
That was personal salary, not
personal salary.
So in theory, if you were a 2-income household, that's how you could afford it. Right.
And they showed the metrics on how home prices have skyrocketed, not just now, but in the last 30 years, and wages have more or less stayed the same. Yeah. And obviously that's a conversation that we've been having for years at this point. I just think that it's good to want to have the American dream, but I think you also have to understand that it may not be attainable. And I also think that the way that you reach whatever your goals are nowadays is very different, because before, you would be like, okay, you're going to get that good company job that you're going to ride out until you retire. That's going to give you a pension, a 401k, and all that. Right. That's not the case anymore. Those generational jobs are gone. And now even people that have quote unquote good jobs have side hustles, and have different things.
We stand here before you.
I mean, we have side hustles of side hustles, right? And that's sort of the norm now. You see people that are doing this, but they also do this. And I just think that's the way the world is changing. And it's making it very unattainable for a lot of people to keep in line with those sort of societal achievements that you're supposed to have, like that by
the milestones
that by a certain age you should be married, by a certain age you should have kids, by a certain age you should have a house, by a certain age you should have X amount of money in your retirement fund, and so on and so forth and so forth and so forth. And it's very difficult. I think it's good to obviously have personal goals and try to attain them, but I think it's also setting yourself up for failure, because the world is different now and life is different.
It's always fascinating to me when it's like, well, just save more. And it's like, but how? Because if you could, you would.
Right.
Right? I mean, not everybody is in that function. I mean, look, just you alone, you have a full child. Not half of
child. I have a full child who right now is into anime. That's all I will say with that.
If you had half a child that was into anime,
maybe that'll be half
he'd only be into half the anime.
Or you could get a BOGO, buy one get one free.
That's true, yeah, because he's only using half.
But you know what? Even if you don't have, I mean, obviously, if you are one income if you are, let's say, single, and what I mean single is that you don't have a significant other, you don't have children. Obviously, the
money should go further.
It should go further, but even that, because one person now has to deal with rent that's $25. So just think about it. If you're somebody who makes, let's say, $5,000 a month, which that's a reasonable salary,
yeah.
and you're paying $2,500 a month, if you're lucky, in rent.
Yeah.
You only have $2,500 to pay your car, your insurance, your, if you have student loans, groceries, food, entertainment, going out, having a life. That starts to go down very quickly, and you're one person.
Yeah, much quicker than you know.
Yeah, you're one person. It gets, it's $8 million. No, I'm still thinking about the $800,000. I mean, I love cars, so I don't know if I'll rack up $800,000. I mean,
it's a lot, but I mean, also think about it. Remember, also this is taking the average, so there's a higher end and a lower end and all that. Yeah, no, let me tell you something. We live in total fear. This is gonna sound so morbid, but we live in fear because our landlord, he's un señor.
Yeah,
and it's like, please don't die.
Right.
Please don't die, because you know what I pay in rent, and I was paying. He didn't raise my rent for like 6 years, and then when he did, it was $25.
Right. All I have to say is my 2.3 APR in my mortgage. That's all I'm saying.
You know who still asks me about that every time he sees me, right?
Yeah.
The guy from Ojalá Wines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I tell people that I have a 2.3 on my home loan on my mortgage, they don't believe me, and I'm like, I do.
Yeah, he's always like,
I've shown it to you on my mortgage statement. I have a 2.3.
Yes,
and I am never selling my house.
Nope.
Well, let's move forward.
That is now a family heirloom.
So
that house.
Oh, hell yeah. So listen, do you know what I want to get it right, the name of it. Do you know what the Brandoni's law is?
The law for Palta?
Brandoni's law, also known as the bullshit asymmetry principle.
Bullshit.
This is a symmetry principle.
Symmetry principle.
Yes.
Was it Baldoni's law?
Yes. So basically, Baldoni's law is that, especially in this age of social media, that when misinformation or disinformation is put out there, it takes 4 times as much effort and energy to counter the misinformation and disinformation.
And I think they're lowballing.
So the reason I'm bringing this up is because I was reading this week, and you alluded to this last week in something that you had said in the episode, that now that all these hurricanes have come to Florida, that meteorologists are being threatened. Some of them have gotten death threats.
Why do we always jump to that lately?
And are being attacked for reporting the weather. And let me remind people that meteorologists, that they went to college to study this. It's a science. Yeah. These people are scientists. They're just not a weather girl or boy, right? Reading a map. These are scientists, and they are being attacked and threatened because of the way they've reported the hurricanes. Because unfortunately, hurricanes have become political now, and there are people out there online.
They are full of hot air.
There are people out there online that are saying that the hurricanes this year have been created to attack red states, whatever that's supposed to mean. And there are people who are spreading this information, and there are actually people who believe this. It is unbelievable that this is something that is actually happening. I said this in last week's episode. People that believe conspiracy theory somehow think they have a superior knowledge, and they're waiting for that gotcha moment. Yeah. And it's just a bunch of crap. And then what's happening is that meteorologists, especially, they have to report the weather.
Of course.
It's their job. But then do they either report the weather factually, or do they fight this misinformation and disinformation? So it's a back and forth that they're currently having. And I will say this to the people who are sort of like believe this. Let me tell you something from 2 native Floridians. Hurricanes are not new. We get like hurricanes, like 4 or 5 a year. Some of them are big, some of them are small. They've been happening every year. So
we always get hit. It's what happens when you stick out of the country.
Hurricanes are nothing new, and they don't just happen in election years. They've happened when we've been a red state, a purple state, and a blue state.
Right.
They've just always happened because, it's called being in the tropics.
It's called nature.
It's called nature.
It's called science, a subject you probably failed in school.
This is something that we are actually having to deal with. The fact that people out there on the internet believe that hurricanes are being made up by the government. And when I read this, it made me think of what we have always said here on Pero Let Me Tell You. And I like to think it's a phrase we coined, and I will say it again now that we're on video.
Yes.
The best thing about the internet and social media is that it gave everybody a voice. The worst thing about the internet and social media is that it gave everybody a voice. Because we have to deal with this nonsense. This freaking nonsense.
You know what? I think you and I should do a social experiment, and we should create our own version of like a bullshit whatever. Mm-hmm. But I mean, make it something really outrageous, which I don't know how much more outrageous it can get than this weather thing, to see how long it takes for it to gain traction.
Right. I've thought about that, but then I don't want to contribute.
I don't want to be responsible for that.
Yeah.
Also, who's Brandoni? Who's the poor schmuck that got named
an
after?
Italian scientist that came up with that. He came up with the metrics of that. When you put something out there, it takes 4 times the effort to, put it in. I remember that some years ago, like 10 years ago, when the tsunami happened in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I was talking to somebody who's very close to me, who I consider to be somewhat an intelligent person. And he was going on and on and on how the tsunami was man-made, that there were these
like turbines.
There were like these apparatuses of sorts that were in the ocean that created the waves. And I remember telling him, I'm like, oh, is that the same technology they use in wave pools and water parks?
Ride the rapids, have some fun. Ride the rapids, a tsunami.
Everyone. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, they do it. And I'm like, okay, so you really believe that there is an apparatus in the middle of the ocean that sent these tsunamis to Japan? Like, you really believe that? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Like, I can't even counter that. I realize my brain works a little bit differently because of my legal training.
No, your brain works differently because you're not a stupid ass.
That I can only debate facts. I can't debate theories.
No, that means you're that's not a bad thing. Let me reassure you of this.
I just don't understand how now everybody can do that. But apparently they can't.
You're not the one who's wrong. I can't stress that enough. You're not the one who's wrong.
Yeah. So hurricanes. They're made up.
They're made up.
What hurricane?
Nothing happened. It's a cry. It was somebody with a big fan.
Una ventolera.
Somebody with a big fan just walking around going, ooh.
Que ventolera, que ventolera. So wait, so when we got hit by Hurricane Andrew all those years ago and like literally blew off the roof of my parents' house. Oh yeah, that wasn't real.
Big balangana. It was one of those planes flying over Pangea and just opened up a window and threw.
Were we in the Matrix?
We were. We still are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not really a spoon.
No,
there is no spoon.
I mean, look at the art behind us. Tell me we're not in the Matrix.
We're in the Matrix.
We are. What pill is we have to take? The yellow one? What is it?
No, the red pill.
The red
Dude,
pill.
It's all about the red pill now. Everybody's like, oh, we're red pilling. I'm like, yeah, that's like, I don't know. That's for your allergies. Yeah.
It's the Mucinex.
The Mucinex comes in a red pill. We're red pilling, bro. I'm like, yeah, good for you. Like,
yeah, I never.
Let me know how that goes.
Yeah, let me know. Let me know how it works out for you.
All this vast knowledge you have now.
That you've unlocked.
Like, how do you walk through life with this vast knowledge?
It's such a burden. It's such a burden. They must go to bed at night every night.
You know what? They should go eat. They should go eat a palta.
They should eat a palta.
That should be a new saying, right? Chico, y comete una palta.
That's the new T-shirt. Now we're gonna have a great line of T-shirts.
Palta qué?
Palta. ¿Qué te palta?
¿Qué te palta? A palta.
Palta. You know what? Palta and palta are not the same thing.
Okay. You know what? I cracked up reading this. Not even a topic, but I just cracked up. You know, Coca-Cola recalled like 14,000 cans of sugar-free lemonade because they had sugar.
You had one job. One job. 14,000?
14,000 cans of sugar-free it was Minute Maid lemonade that has sugar.
It was not so sugar free. It was sugar full.
Sugar.
You know, again, you had one job.
Somebody was drinking that and go, man,
This is great. Wow, esto sabe igualito. Igualito al que tiene
Pero tú estás
azúcar.
seguro que esto es falta azúcar.
Yo no sé por qué estoy engordando. Estoy tomando sugar free.
Oh my God. I had a coworker. I'll even say her name because there's a lot of people that's named Pilar. I freaking loved Pilar when I worked back in, corporate. I had a coworker. She was great. She was like, oh man, I need to lose weight. I'm just going to start eating salads. So she would have salads every day. And then, I don't know, after a couple of weeks or something, she's like, oh my God, I'm not losing weight. Y nada más estoy comiendo ensalada y ensalada. Until one day we all went to like the cafeteria, and
Right.
this place had a really good cafeteria. And she's like, mira, estoy comiendo ensalada. And I'm like, yeah, with a pound of cheese, bacon, palta, dressing. I'm like, this thing has like 4,000 calories. And she's like, but it has lettuce. And I'm like,
So does a Big Mac.
I mean, why am I not losing weight?
That's the bar. It is a very low bar.
I'm like, Pilar, because you're eating a pound of cheese. But I love you.
I would totally eat a pound of cheese every day if I could.
I mean,
I wouldn't go to the bathroom for a month.
You know that cheese is the reason I can't be vegan.
That's true.
I can't. I'm not a big meat
Yeah.
eater. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, you enjoy meat, but you're not big on it. Yeah.
You give me a piece of blue cheese or a cheesecake.
It's over.
And no.
It's over.
No. And I have yet to find, if the bakery is out there who wants to prove me wrong, please send cupcakes and sweets to Pero let me tell you at Cultura Media.
Yes. Well, listen, the address is online. You just look.
Yes.
You look up Cultura
Yes.
Media House. Send it.
I have yet to find a cupcake or cake that is vegan that is as good as
Non-vegan.
a non-vegan.
Yeah.
But
Some
again,
are better than others.
If you want to prove me wrong, please send all submissions to.
You know what? We'll do a taste test right here. We got video
we
now.
are more than happy to do
Yeah.
that.
We'll give you a plug.
Absolutely.
We'll give you a plug. Send it. But don't everybody send it on different days because then it's weird. Like we have to keep it and just coordinate amongst your vegan selves and figure out a day to send it all together.
Mm-hmm.
So you can also save on shipping costs.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. You know, we're nothing if not efficient.
Yeah. Cheese. The reason I'm not vegan.
Another shirt.
I mean, listen. If I was vegan, we couldn't be friends with Burger Beast.
That's true. Because he refuses to even call vegan burgers.
I think that if we became vegans, Burger Beast he'll be like, me peleo con usted a muerte. Like,
we'd be disowned.
can you imagine how much that man would rag on us especially me?
Already rags on us
Because he rags on me more than he rags on you, Seth.
Okay, but you know why?
I know I'm an easy target.
You're an easy target because I roll with it. I pile on.
I don't roll with it. And for those of you who know Seth Burger Beast, know exactly.
That's just- yeah.
So let's move on.
Yeah.
Enough about him.
Enough. You know what? It's not the Burger Beast show.
Yeah.
He has his own platform. Damn it. But follow him. Follow him. So are you thirsty? Because I could be a little thirsty.
Yeah. Tengo tremenda sed.
Tienes sed? Is it because of the cake that was correct yesterday?
Yeah.
It was really good. I wish I had another slice.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm not going to lie.
Okay, so last soda time.
All right. You want to go first or you want me to go first?
I actually want to give my last soda today to one of our favorite people ever, who's being properly acknowledged. So the Celia Cruz quarter officially came out this week.
Oh, fine. Wait, it hadn't officially come out?
Well, it had been announced, but it officially came
in
out
circulation.
This week. It is being put into circulation this week. And obviously, there was, I think, 1,100 submissions of different women who were going to be considered for it. And Celia Cruz obviously made the short list and was elected to do so. But it's one of those instances that you just feel so proud of your culture, of who she was and continues to be. Because as we've talked about Celia Cruz before many times here on the show, as people who grew up watching her, and we saw her perform and,
Hasta la velamos.
yeah, we even went to her funeral, or to her wake. You just feel proud, like if she was a family member. Yeah. And it's so amazing that somebody who was so unapologetically who she was is being, acknowledged in this way in a country that she immigrated to, but was very much an American as well. While kept very proud her Cuban heritage and the fact that she was Cuban was very front and center in everything that she did. So it's just an amazing honor that of all the wonderful women that they could put on these coins, that one of those women is Celia Cruz. So my last soda this week goes to the incredible Celia Cruz.
Yeah, 100% like deserved. I mean, I've said the story on here before where like when my dad first came to this country, my grandfather worked at a Chinese restaurant, like going at Chino Jesus. I've always heard of it. Chino Jesus. At Chino Jesus, up in New York, and all of the salsa stars of that time would go to the restaurants.
Fania Records.
But like La Lupe would go there, Celia, a whole bunch of them. And my dad always said that, whenever Celia was there, she was always the nicest. Like she would give him like a quarter, if you like, because he was there. He was a kid, but he was like working, so that was she'd tip him and she'd give him candy. I think, or unless I'm misremembering the story, like I think one time she even like took him to get clothes for school or something like
right.
I'm probably misremembering the details of that story, but again, she was just always so nice. And my father's not one to fawn over celebrities, but when she passed away, like he said, like, yeah, I felt it, like that was somebody, because he knew her.
Yeah. It felt like family. Now you mentioned that Lupe, it's so funny. So I grew up listening to La Lupe's version of Fever.
It's great.
Right? So that's the Fever that I knew. So fast forward to like when we were in middle school or something, that Madonna came out with her
the erotic
cover
album.
of Fever. I thought she was redoing La Lupe's song.
That she translated it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, look. I know this song from La Lupe. Never know how much I love you. She sings it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that Fever was like a jazz standard.
Your version sounded like Isma.
Yeah.
It's a fine line between La Lupe and Earth Kitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought you threw me off track. I thought that Fever, never know how much I love you. I just thought that the Lupe sang Fever. That was her song. And I always go back to that. Listen, you got to give me some slack. I grew up in a Cuban household. My parents didn't speak English. So I'm happy that I knew what I knew.
Yeah. Listen, bastante you knew Fever.
But by La Lupe.
Right. But there are other songs you probably had no clue.
That's why I tell you, I didn't discover the Beatles until high school. And people gasp and clutch their pearls. I'm like, my parents were Cuban. My parents didn't listen to the Beatles in Cuba because they were outlawed. And then when they came here, they were working. They
didn't have time for Beatles.
They were like, let's discover the Beatles.
No, they weren't. They didn't have time for Magic 102.7. No, at all.
So, yeah. But her version of Fever is great.
Oh, it is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the original,
according to Darian.
Michael Bublé
also covered La Lupe's.
Michael Bublé does a great jazz standard version of La Lupe's
Fever.
Wait, who originally sang that song?
I think it was like Peggy Lee or somebody like that. Like it's it's like from like the 50s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I probably got it wrong. I probably said the wrong person, but I feel like it's somebody who has two names.
Like Luis Miguel.
Yes, exactly.
That Luis Miguel and Luis Miguel are not.
They're not the same person. They're not the same person. I sometimes wonder what the hell Mariah Carey called him.
Louis,
because Louis is not Luis.
I never thought about.
It's not the same person.
When Mariah Carey was with Luis Miguel, would she go, "Hey, Louis, can you come
or worse,
here?"
Would she call him Louis?
Like, what's Louis?
Like I wouldn't have. Did he respond to that name? Because that's not his name.
Yeah.
He didn't have that problem with Dizzy Fuentes.
Well,
right, because she'd be like Luis. Right. Or Louis.
Okay, go to your last soda.
Okay, my last soda.
Go in circles forever.
This is the epitome of a circle. So my last soda, it's spooky season, it's Halloween. And every year for Halloween, I make it a point to watch, a bunch of scary movies. But there's one movie that I always watch because it takes me back to my childhood. It's a sense of nostalgia. It's just, it's perfect and it's in all of its imperfections. The Monster Squad. Have you heard about this movie? Do you know about this movie?
No.
Okay. So this movie, it came out in the 80s. It didn't do well in the theaters but then it found its way to HBO, and it was always on, to the point where like I recorded it one time. So it was not always on HBO. It was just always on in my house. And it's just a story of like in this small sleepy town, these kids, you know, the Universal monsters show up, Dracula, Frankenstein, etc. And it's these kids. I think the oldest one is maybe 12. And they all band together to fight the monsters. But it's just such a throwback movie. I mean, in a nutshell, it's like the Little Rascals fight the Universal monsters. It has some, by today's standards, problematic dialogue,
Right.
I'm sure. But it's just so fun and it's so good. And I've shared it recently with, well, not recently, like a couple years ago, I shared it with my nephews. And so now they watch it. And it is just one of my favorite movies, hands down. And if you've ever heard anybody say Wolfman's got nards, that's where it's from.
I've never heard anybody say that.
Oh, I've heard people say that. I've heard people say Wolfman's got nards.
What are nards?
Nuts. Because there's a part where they're trying to get away from the Wolfman, and they're like, kick him in the nards, kick him in the nards. It's like, Wolfmen don't have nards.
I have a situation that's happening this year with Halloween.
Oh.
So as some of you listeners may be aware, because I've shared this in 319 episodes, I have a problem dressing up for Halloween insofar as that I don't.
Right, which you can.
I was the same thing for 15 years, and I'm not exaggerating. So
That thing crossed state lines, people.
These are my costumes that I've had. So from like 1995 to like, I think 2010, I was a monk. And I wore the same thing every year, and I'm not exaggerating.
That thing crossed state lines, people. I went with him to law school.
So then, which, by the way, the funniest thing was when I sent you one time a picture of me wearing it in Michigan. You're like, that thing crossed state lines. I was like, yeah. So then the only other stuff that I've been is I'm always an athlete.
Right. Yes. Because that's generic.
And then, you know, since I had like baseball uniform stuff and, you know, whatever, I would just be a baseball player. There was one year that I was like, I'm going to be wild this year and I'm going to be crazy. And I dressed up as Justin Bieber and everybody thought I was Perez Hilton. So that backfired. So I always have a problem.
That was a great
I always
Halloween
have
for
a
me.
problem dressing up. So I'm going to give us a challenge. Oh. So our Halloween episode drops Friday is November 1st.
Video.
So I think we should find me a Halloween costume.
Okay.
Now, I've said in many episodes who I want to be for Halloween. I don't know if I could pull off the costume.
I have told you, I will pay for the outfit. I will pay for the outfit, but you know my caveat.
What? No. I'm not being Zangief.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not in the shape to be Zangief, you know, from...
Because that's the one I told you, I will buy you the Zangief costume. The only caveat to that is you can only wear the cape when you walk in.
The Zangief costume is a red Speedo. Like,
well, yeah, I didn't say I was going to spend a lot of money.
But anyway, I told you I struggled. If I dress up as a Weeknd, I want to dress up as like the Weeknd on tour, but which leg of the tour? Because...
That is the definition of a first world problem.
So remember when he was premiering his concert in
Brazil?
In Brazil, that was like, oh, that's a whole other outfit that I'm gonna have to like
new wardrobe.
Like now I'm gonna need 4 Halloween parties because like
that's true. Actually,
but anyway,
let me look this up to see when we're filming.
We're filming
like the Wednesday before.
Yeah, like October 30th. So I guess we should do a Halloween edition of Pero Let Me Tell You.
We should.
But the fun thing will be like, what will I dress up as?
Yes. Oh, now I'm excited.
Oh, there was one year I dressed up as a Care Bear.
That's right, the onesie.
The onesie.
The onesie, yes.
I can't do the Care Bear anymore because it's a little tighter in a certain area.
In areas.
That you would probably be like, yeah. I'd be like,
well, yeah.
No.
Well, yeah. I would have bought it that way to begin with.
Dress up as a Care Bear wearing a beach towel.
Yeah. I'd be like, I'll show you my Care Bear stare.
Okay, so that should be our challenge. What will DJ dress up as?
What will DJ
Since
dress up as?
I am Halloween costume challenged.
Yes, you are.
I can't.
But it's funny to me because you always want to do it. You always want to do Halloween and then you never do.
I never do. So I just end up
So
being...
now you will.
So
Don't be something basic.
So if you don't push me, I'll come in with like a Yankees hat and my Yankees.
No,
like,
don't. Okay,
my
no.
Yankees
Okay,
jersey.
no.
I mean, like,
guys,
I'm a baseball player.
Guys, Junior, you're witness. This is now on video.
Oh, which by the way, Yankees playoffs.
Yes. You cannot be a monk because I'm calling a moratorium on that thing.
Okay.
And you can't do anything too basic.
Being an athlete is not basic. What are you doing to a whole profession?
No. Being an actual athlete is not basic. Dressing up with two things you have in your closet and throwing them on and calling them a costume. The year I dressed up
as a football player, it was legit. Don't you remember that year?
Okay, yes.
Right. I mean, I took it seriously.
Yeah, but what you would wind up doing now is you would put on like some random jersey that you bought at like, Yankee Stadium with your Yankees hat and be like, oh, I'm Jeter.
That's exactly what I would do.
No, you're not doing that. No, you're not going to do it.
I'm not allowed. So challenge taken.
Challenge
accepted. Deal.
Yes, you have 2 weeks.
Shit, I need to run Spirit of Halloween.
Yeah, go to Spirit. Yeah, there's one on every corner.
I mean, literally. Is there a Sears or
is anything closing in the next 10 minutes
that we could go
Yeah.
to? So yeah,
all right.
I thought I should throw myself under the bus,
good,
and be challenged.
Now
this year.
what am I gonna wear?
Okay, this show is PG.
You act like if I walk around in like a thong on Halloween. That's what I do for Arbor Day.
Okay. Well, everybody, we hope you listened, laughed, and learned. Remember to grab your croqueta, your pastelito, and your cafecito. And thank you so much for joining us on Pero Let Me Tell You. That was episode 320.
Yes.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.